I'm not big on Jimmy Garoppolo. If he did so many things well with those weapons, the Niners would throw more. But their whole thing is throwing as little as possible because, frankly, he throws a lot of picks. And it's not that he's Brett Favre or anything. It's just the book's out on him. He doesn't throw deep. He doesn't throw outside the numbers. He plays in a constricted field, and he has to.
Doesn't he play like Brady, though? That's Brady's
He's
game.
like Brady if Brady never threw down the field and really didn't have a very good idea of what he's looking at.
And they've got a quandary right now what to do at quarterback here. I love Garoppolo because he wins ball games. We're going to bring our friend in here, Grant Cohn, and get his perspective on it. Grant, I mean, I love the passion of the 49er fans. I really do. Even though, they've always been accused in the past of having cheese and wine in the stands when they were at the stick. And now Gary Radnich told me, he goes, Sills, now they're down like south of the Raiderville. It almost doesn't even feel like 49er country anymore. But anyway.
You're right.
This is what I heard, Grant.
Okay.
So I'm friends with Jason Light, and Jason Light told me prior to Brady coming back and coming out of retirement, one of the options was to go and try to get Garoppolo and bring him in to be the heir apparent and to take over for Brady after he comes off of his injury. Okay. He just started throwing 2 weeks ago. So Kyle Trask probably was going to start the first 4 games. That was going to be
real quick. Hold on, just in the Bay, like that's huge news. The fact we didn't know that he started throwing 2 weeks ago. So you heard that? That's a big deal. Thank you.
He started throwing 2 weeks ago. Okay. Now intermediate stuff with trainers and such. So 2 weeks ago he started throwing.
Wow.
Now your camp, I believe, is July 27th.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds right.
I don't think he's ready for full contact, and he's going to be ready. If you look at going through exhibition games, you're probably thinking that he'll probably get healthy by the end of camp, maybe miss the first couple weeks. So this is going to be Lance's job. It was always going to be Lance's job because Garoppolo health-wise was not going to be ready. Now, I think this really put them in a bind here, the 49ers, that injury, because I think they would have unloaded him prior to the draft. Instead, they had to keep him because there wasn't a lot marketplace for an injured quarterback. What I'm hearing is this. The Buccaneers have reached out to the 49ers to try to bring Garoppolo down to be the heir apparent for Brady when he calls it a career at the end of the year. Both guys are represented by Don Yee.
Right.
And the other one is Andrew Berry reaching out to the 49ers and John Lynch. John won't confirm it for me, but he said there's multiple teams that have reached out to him about Garoppolo. So I think we assume you're not going to have Brissett be your starting quarterback the entire year, that the Browns would go and try to get Garoppolo. Here's the problem with that, though. They don't have the assets to trade back to San Francisco. And you're paying Baker Mayfield $12 million of that contract in Carolina. You're paying $46 million to Deshaun, and that means you pay $24 million. So it's kind of a web here. The best fit that I'm hearing is Tampa. What are you hearing?
Well, look, it's from what you're telling me, if Jimmy's going to miss the first few weeks of the season, and if there's a possibility that Watson won't be suspended for the entire year, it doesn't.
I'm hearing 6 to 8 with an appeal.
Okay, well then I don't think Cleveland's a serious contender. I think they would be interested if they lost Watson for the whole year. So then to me, it seems like if Tampa's really interested, then they're the only trade market. And really, they'd be bidding against themselves. And I'm curious to see what kind of assets they really have to give up to get Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, they don't have the cap space for him. So I'm guessing it would be an extension if they want to be the heir. Okay, great. What assets are we talking here, Dan? Not anything more than a 6th round pick. Am I wrong?
Boy, for Garoppolo, who is 38-16,
okay,
I'll tell you, man. I think the reason, Grant, I think the reason that the Niners haven't moved off of him because they feel they won that deal with the New England Patriots on that 2nd rounder because he did take that team to a Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan 7-28 with an eye. So to me, you're right. What assets would they give up? Would they give up a player and a pick to bring
maybe something like
San
that?
Francisco?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe something like that. Because again, if you take back a 5th-round pick, it looks like you lost the initial trade with New England. And I think, look, John. John's a very competitive man.
Yep.
I think he wants to win these trades. And there is a perception that he's lost a lot of trades. The D Ford trade, for example, maybe the DeForest Buckner trade. I think this is his biggest one. He needs to win this. And I don't see him just admitting defeat, taking the L and cutting him so maybe what you're saying, trade him for a player. That's saving
Chris
face.
Godwin for your new toy at Trey Lance. They have to. How many years too are they going to stick with Deebo Samuel? That was a real big conversation. Maybe they were going to move off him. I never thought they were going to move off him. Yep. However, I do think maybe this coming season they could move off him. So, do you believe Trey Lance should get this job, or are you on the other side where? See, to me, I think it's a tough call here. I mean, do you put Lance in, and do you forfeit the 38-16? I know he's not perfect. Grant, he's not perfect of a quarterback, but you can get to a Super Bowl. You did with Colin Kaepernick.
I've seen a lot of Lance. I've seen them both practice. It's just practice, but I think Lance is better than him. I know it's hard to say. I haven't seen him in a lot of games, but I'm not big on Jimmy Garoppolo. If he did so many things well with those weapons, the Niners would throw more. But their whole thing is throwing as little as possible because, frankly, he throws a lot of picks. And it's not that he's Brett Favre or anything. It's just the book's out on him. He doesn't throw deep. He doesn't throw outside the numbers. He plays in a constricted field, and he has to force.
Doesn't he play like Brady, though? That's Brady's
He's
game.
like Brady if Brady never threw down the field and really didn't have a very good idea of what he's looking at. Sorry, Jimmy is not a high football IQ quarterback. I think he has that perception because he comes from New England, but really, he's not. But hey, maybe in a new system it'll look different. But at least
Grant, I think that's been the rip on him. I think that's been the rip on him because look, how many times have we seen this? Why throw it there? What is that? And he has that Carson Wentz gene a little bit about him where he just throws it there. However, he does go to Green Bay and win ball games. He does go to Dallas. Hey, Grant,
he's got 4 playoff wins.
Something, dude.
He's got 4 playoff wins, and it's like it seems like the league's really down on him because he didn't play well in the playoffs, and his numbers in the playoffs aren't great. But it just takes one team to value it, and it's interesting. Tom Brady is very powerful in Tampa. He knows Jimmy very well. All it takes is him being like, you know what, Jimmy's way better than the league gives him credit for. Let's bring him over here. Let's rehab Jimmy. I can see Tom doing that. That's
right. And see, to me, again, I think Brady and Don Yee. Wouldn't this be crazy, though, Grant? That secession plan was supposed to go down in New England.
I know.
What if those guys did that to Belichick in Tampa where they did the secession plan in Tampa?
See, that's another reason, another wrinkle why it would be attractive to Tom Brady. It's like another way to stick it to Belichick. Oh, I got Jimmy, too. I got Jimmy. Ha ha.
Do you think a lot of Kyle Shanahan?
Not as much as the rest of the world. I think he's a very good play designer, but he's had 3 very big meltdowns.
You're the only guy that looks at it like I do, Grant. I think he can design plays. I think he's got a great idea of what he wants to do with the ball. But man, if he doesn't have a signal caller back there, it's a train wreck.
Oh, absolutely. And even if he does have a signal caller, if you could give him a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter, the biggest game of his season, and he could find a way. What he does, he'll have the best player in the league, Deebo Samuel, just carrying him.
I love him.
Carrying him. And then in the 4th quarter with the 10-point lead, no touches for Deebo. What the hell happened? How did you forget about your best player? He did it in the Super Bowl, too. All of a sudden, he forgot to run the ball with the big lead. It's like, I don't know. To me, you call that if a player does something uncharacteristic in crunch time, that's called choking. But you don't really use those words for coaches. I don't know with Kyle, man. Is he a choker? He might be. I don't know.
What do you make of John Lynch as GM?
It's tough because Kyle is so powerful there. You don't know how much
power
John
so
has.
He has a lot of say in that building?
A lot of personnel power, yes.
Wow.
So it's hard to say like what John's doing, but it just in terms of being the face of the organization, because Kyle doesn't want to be the face of the organization. He's a football guy. And Jimmy's not really the face of the organization. He's a solid quarterback. It's John. John does a really good job of it. The Niners had a very bad reputation before he got here as being sort of like, Cleveland. It's a very rinky-dink organization that doesn't.
Well, it's off the Trent Baalke years.
Yeah. So he's given the Niners. He's a Hall of Fame guy who stands behind his word. I mean, he gives them He's a great face of the organization. And I don't know. I can't talk about his personnel acumen. I don't know. But he shares that with Kyle.
You think they're a Super Bowl contender this year? I do. Do you? Or does it depend on who the starting quarterback is?
Not really. No, here's the thing. I mean, if they had traded Jimmy Garoppolo 4 months ago and used the $24 million in cap savings on a center, a left guard, a strong safety, hell yeah. But they didn't. So to me, they're hedging their bets. I mean, they want to trade Jimmy, but they also kind of want to see what they have in Trey Lance just to make sure he's not a total failure. And that hedge, I think, is going to leave him around 9 wins, which is too bad. I think they should have been better. That's the way I see it.
I have to ask you a question about what I hit on a lot, and that's Jalen Hurts. What do you make of him from across the Bay Area when you see Jalen Hurts?
I like Jalen Hurts. He reminds me a lot of Trey Lance. And I like how the Eagles just went all in with him and said, well, you may not be an elite quarterback, but we're going to put the best team around you possible. We're going to give you a chance. And if you don't prove it in the next 3 years, we'll probably replace you. Why didn't the Niners do that with Trey? I mean, I get that you like Jimmy, but you made a big investment in Trey, and now you put him on the bench. I like Jalen Hurts a lot, and I think he's got a great supporting cast.
Boy, I'll tell you what, man. This is great. And, hey, Grant, if we have 49er stuff, if you don't mind, I'd love to have you.
You got off on the wrong foot. I blame myself. Sorry about that.
No, me too, dude. Because you know what? It's like social media shit.
Yeah.
Man. You just really don't know sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I'll follow you back on Twitter and such too.
I got you.
I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, I'm sorry about that too. Because now you and me are boys, man. We'll go back and forth anytime you need me. All right, Grant?
Hey, are you going to come out? I think the Niners are playing Tampa out here this year. You coming out? If you do.
I will be. Well, it's right up the street because I live in California.
Okay. Oh, you do? Where do you live? I'm in Oakland.
You're in. Hey, I guess what too? I lived in Dublin.
Oh, nice.
When I worked at KMBR, and I used to drive across the bridge all the time to go into KMBR, and I used to go there. Then I worked at the Ticket, and I used to go play golf at Blackhawk with John Madden.
Wow.
And, oh yeah, man. He lived in Pleasanton. You know, he has that whole deal in Pleasanton there when he was alive. And one of the great things was that he called up the old program director at KMBR, Bob Agnew, and goes, "This guy Silio's great. You got to get." I got into broadcasting because John Madden helped me get into broadcasting.
Like the greatest broadcaster ever gives you a letter recommendation. That'll work. Hey, real quick before I go, did you know my dad when you were out here? My dad is Lowell Cohn. He was a longtime columnist out here.
Holy cow.
That's my dad.
The columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle?
Yes. He retired a few years ago, but yeah, that's my pops.
Wait, is this the guy that had a beef with Gary Radnich?
Oh, if they did, they're very friendly now. I've been on Gary's show. When my dad retired, Gary had him on for an hour, and I was in the studio. Fantastic. Gary's a great guy.
He used to write little snippets about Gary and his column and those two guys.
That doesn't sound like my dad. It must have been someone else.
Hey,
Gary.
Was it called like the Green Page or something like that at the Chronicle?
Yes, the Sporting Green, because it was
the Sporting Green
paper.
Yes, that's right. The Sporting Green. God, those were great days. Hey, Grant, absolutely knew your pop.
Thanks for having me on the show, man. It's a lot of fun.
Anytime you need me, man, let me know.
We'll reach out to you.